As the sun dipped behind the hills of Bristol, Logan Barrett sat at the edge of his porch lost in thought. 3 years had passed since his wife Rachel passed away, but the pain still clung to him like a shadow. Raising 2 daughters alone, he never imagined he'd find love again, not like this. But everything changed the moment Claire Morgan stepped into their lives. What started as a simple blind date soon turned into something much more complicated. Claire's gentle connection with his daughters felt like a gift. Yet there was something about her that Logan couldn't shake. Was it just coincidence, or was fate playing a role he hadn't yet understood? But the deeper Logan dug, the more secrets seemed to unravel, leading him to a truth he wasn't prepared for. Stay with me until the end. This story isn't just about love. It's about destiny, family, and the price of happiness. Logan Barrett, a successful CEO in his mid-30s, adjusted his tie for the third time, staring into the mirror with a mix of nerves and excitement. Despite building a tech empire from the ground up, a simple blind date had him feeling more anxious than any boardroom meeting. His daughters Ava and Mia hovered around the kitchen, busy with their own little world. "Dad, are you really bringing us to your date?" Ava asked, glancing up from brushing her hair. She sounded a little amused, a little worried, like she was unsure how to feel about it. "Yes, sweetheart," Logan said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "If she can't handle us three, then she's not the one." 6-year-old Mia clutched her beloved stuffed bear, her face buried in its fur. "What if she doesn't like us?" she whispered. Logan's heart clenched. Since the death of their mother, Rachel, 3 years ago, his daughters had been deeply afraid of abandonment, and so had he. He'd promised them that they were a complete package. No one would get to him without accepting all three of them. As they walked into the upscale restaurant in downtown Bristol, Vermont, Logan's eyes scanned the room for the woman his best friend Ethan Moore had insisted he meet. "There she is," Logan muttered to himself, his heart pounding. A tall blonde woman in a chic beige dress stepped through the door. It was Claire Morgan, and she looked nothing like Logan had expected. He had half prepared for awkwardness, for that inevitable moment of surprise when she saw 2 little girls instead of just him. But what happened next left him speechless. "Hello," Claire said, walking right past Logan. She didn't even acknowledge him, instead bending down to kneel in front of Ava and Mia, a wide, warm smile spreading across her face. "You must be the most beautiful princesses in all of Bristol." Ava and Mia exchanged surprised glances, and then Mia shyly smiled. "I like your dress," Ava said, her voice a little softer than usual. "And your bear," Claire asked, her voice soft yet genuine. "Is that his name?" Peluchin, Mia murmured, clutching her bear tighter. "What a perfect name," Claire said, her eyes lighting up. "I bet he's very brave, huh?" Logan stood frozen, taken aback by how easily Claire had connected with his daughters. No woman in the 3 years since Rachel's death had made his girls feel so comfortable so quickly. Claire stood up, still smiling, and extended her hand to Logan. "You must be Logan." "I'm Claire," she said. "Sorry I'm a little late. The traffic in this town is something else." She laughed, a sound that felt too easy, too natural. Logan finally found his voice. "No problem at all," he said, shaking her hand. A strange warmth rushed through him at her touch. The evening went surprisingly well. As they ate, Claire seemed to know exactly how to engage with his daughters. She asked Ava about school, laughed at Mia's stories about her favorite teacher, and when Mia spilled juice on her dress, Claire simply smiled and cleaned it off. "Don't worry, sweetie. I once spilled coffee at an important meeting, and everyone just laughed. It ended up being the best meeting we ever had," she said, her calmness making Mia giggle. Logan couldn't remember the last time he'd felt this at ease during a dinner with someone new. Claire wasn't just good with kids, she was exceptional. She listened with full attention, engaging each of them in a way that made them feel valued, seen, and heard. As the meal went on, Logan found himself relaxing. Claire, a child psychologist, shared stories about her work, how children taught her new things every day. "Kids are much smarter than we think," she said, her eyes twinkling with genuine affection. "They know the best dinner companions are the ones who make them feel at home." Logan's heart gave a small lurch. He had not realized how much he missed feeling this way at home, not since Rachel's passing. After Claire excused herself to the bathroom, Ava, with a keen sense for emotions, leaned toward Logan. "Dad, I like her," she whispered. "She reminds me of someone, but I can't figure out who." Logan's heart skipped. Could she mean Rachel? Did Claire somehow remind Ava of her mother? Before Logan could respond, his phone buzzed with a message from Ethan. I hope it's going well. By the way, her full name is Claire Morgan Blake. Thought you should know. Logan froze. The surname Blake sounded eerily familiar. Could it be he quickly brushed the thought away, but the seed of doubt had already been planted? Could Claire be related to Rachel in some way? Had fate brought them together because of some family connection? A bit shaken, Logan tried to push the thought aside. But as he watched Claire return to the table, a small seed of uncertainty began to grow. The days that followed were a blur of normalcy, mixed with an undeniable sense of tension. Logan couldn't shake the image of Claire kneeling in front of his daughters, smiling at them like they were the most important people in the room. Every moment with her felt natural, like they'd known each other for years. But every time he looked at her, there was an unsettling feeling deep in his gut, something he couldn't quite place. Ava seemed more relaxed than she'd been in months. Mia, too, had been chatting excitedly about Claire's visit. The girls had already begun to accept Claire as part of their lives. But Logan's mind wouldn't let go of the nagging thought that something was off. That name Blake, it sounded too familiar. He couldn't pinpoint why, but the resemblance to Rachel's family name haunted him. And every time he closed his eyes, he could hear the whisper of his daughter's laughter echoing in the back of his mind, as if something was pulling them toward Claire, something deeper than just chemistry. It was a Saturday afternoon when Logan finally decided to confront his feelings, or rather confront the possibility that he might be overthinking things. He arranged a casual meeting with Claire in one of the quieter parks of Bristol, away from the city noise. Claire was already there when Logan arrived, sitting on a bench near the children's playground. She was reading a book, but when she saw him approaching, she smiled. Her eyes were full of warmth, as they always had been. But today something felt different. There was an intensity in the air, a tension that neither of them had acknowledged yet. "Logan," she greeted, her voice soft and welcoming. "It's good to see you." Logan sat down beside her, trying to appear casual despite the storm brewing inside his mind. "Yeah, you too," he said, clearing his throat. He forced a smile, but his voice was a little strained. "I've been thinking..." Claire put her book down and turned her full attention to him, a knowing look in her eyes. "What's on your mind?" Logan hesitated, then decided it was time. He couldn't keep carrying this weight, not when it felt so heavy. "I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with me. Are you related to Rachel? I mean, really related. Are you family?" Claire's eyes widened for a split second before she quickly masked the shock. She took a deep breath, her face softening. For a moment, Logan thought he saw a flicker of something, guilt maybe, before she regained her composure. "Rachel, your late wife, right?" she asked, her voice steady, though her hands had clenched slightly in her lap. "I didn't know her well, but yes, there's a connection. You could say, we share blood, but it's not something I've ever talked about." Logan's heart skipped. What kind of connection is that why you're here? Is this some kind of setup? Claire's eyes locked onto his, and for the first time, Logan felt a wave of sincerity. She wasn't avoiding the truth, she wasn't backing away. She was just honest. "It's not a setup, Logan," she said, her voice surprisingly calm despite the storm of emotions raging inside her. "Rachel and I were distant relatives. Our families never spoke much, but I knew of her. After she passed, I did some digging. I guess you could say I've always had a pull toward this family, even before I knew you." Logan's head was spinning. "But why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say anything when you first met my girls?" His voice rose, the frustration and confusion bubbling to the surface. "I didn't know how," Claire said, shaking her head. "You were already grieving, and they needed someone. And when I saw how they responded to me, how they accepted me without hesitation, I didn't want to ruin that. I didn't want to bring up the past, especially if it was going to hurt." Logan sat back, processing everything. Was it all a coincidence? Could Claire really be part of Rachel's family? His heart ached at the thought that he might have been fooling himself into believing that he could replace Rachel. But the truth was, could anyone replace Rachel? Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't just the quiet park or the weight of the conversation that felt heavier. It was something in Claire's expression, something that made Logan's stomach turn. She reached into her purse, pulling out a small envelope. She handed it to him, her eyes filled with something deeper than just concern. "Rachel left something for you," she said quietly, her hands trembling. "A letter. For you." Logan stared at the envelope, his breath caught. Was this it? The connection he had been searching for? He opened it, his hands shaking slightly as he unfolded the letter inside. As Logan read Rachel's handwritten words, his pulse quickened. "Logan, if you're reading this, then I've already gone. But I need you to know this. There's something important you need to hear. I know you're hurting, and I know you're scared of moving on. But I also know this family. It's bigger than just the past. Don't let fear stop you from finding happiness. And Claire, she's part of this. She's not here by accident. You need to trust her. For me. For the girls." Logan's heart felt like it had been ripped open. Could this letter really be from Rachel? And what did she mean by Claire's part of this? His mind raced as he looked up at Claire. She was watching him, her expression a mix of sadness and understanding. "Do you see now?" Claire asked softly. The days that followed were filled with a quiet kind of chaos. Logan sat with the letter from Rachel in his hands every night, reading it over and over again, as though he could decipher some hidden message or direction in her words. There were nights when he lay awake in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if Rachel had really known all along that Claire would become a part of their lives. Could she have truly seen it? He had to confront Claire not just for himself, but for his daughters. Ava and Mia were growing so attached to her, and deep down, Logan knew he couldn't let them down again, especially not after losing their mother. His heart ached every time he saw them look at Claire with such trust and joy. One evening, as the sun was setting, Logan invited Claire over to talk. They sat on the back porch of his house in Bristol, the warm evening air filled with the scent of flowers blooming in the garden. The girls were in bed and the house was quieter than usual. It felt like the calm before the storm. "I've been thinking a lot," Logan said, his voice low. "About everything. The letter, Rachel, about you and me, and what we've become." Claire, sitting across from him, looked down at her hands, her fingers nervously twisting a napkin. She knew this conversation was coming. She'd felt it in the air between them ever since she had shown him Rachel's letter. "Logan, I know how hard this is. I've never wanted to replace Rachel, and I don't think I ever could. I'm just here. And if you want me to leave, I will. But I want you to know, I've never felt so connected to a family. To this family." Logan's chest tightened at her words. His mind had been racing with 1,000 questions, doubts and fears, but Claire's sincerity calmed him. He realized then that he hadn't been open with her, not really. He'd been so afraid of letting go of the past, of losing Rachel's memory, that he hadn't fully let Claire in. "You're right," Logan said softly. "I've been afraid of moving on, of losing what I had with Rachel. But I think Rachel knew. I think she saw you coming into our lives. And I need to trust her. Trust you. I can't keep holding on to the past and ignoring what's in front of me." Claire's eyes softened and she reached out, placing her hand gently on his. "You don't have to let go of Rachel, Logan. You can carry her with you. But what we have now, it's real. It's different, but it's real. And it's okay to embrace it." For the first time in years, Logan felt a wave of peace wash over him. He wasn't betraying Rachel's memory. He was simply allowing his heart to heal, allowing himself to move forward with the people who needed him, his daughters Claire, and even himself. As the weeks passed, things began to shift in their household. Claire's presence felt less like an intrusion and more like a natural part of their lives. She was there for the girls in ways Logan couldn't have imagined. She helped with school projects, read bedtime stories, and gave Logan the space he needed to process his feelings. It was as if she had always been part of their family, and the girls had begun to see her not as a substitute, but as a real, irreplaceable part of their lives. One Saturday morning, Logan woke up to find the kitchen filled with the sound of laughter. Ava and Mia were playing a game with Claire, and he couldn't help but smile as he watched them. For the first time in a long while, the house felt alive again, filled with love and laughter that didn't feel forced. That evening, after putting the girls to bed, Logan and Claire sat together on the porch again. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, and the air was warm, just like the moment between them. "I've been thinking," Logan began, his voice filled with emotion, "about what you said, about not replacing Rachel. And you're right, I don't have to let go of her, but I can open my heart to you. To us, Claire looked at him, her eyes glistening with something more than just affection. It was understanding, acceptance, and something deeper than either of them could fully explain. I want this, Logan. I want us, you, the girls, and me. And no matter what happens, I'll be here. I want to help you all heal. Logan smiled softly, the weight of years of grief and fear lifting from his shoulders. I think Rachel would have liked you, Claire. She would have wanted me to move on to be happy, and I think she knew you'd help us get there. Claire's hand found his, and for a moment, they simply sat together, the world around them fading as they held on to each other. A few months later, in the warmth of their home, Logan and Claire sat down with Ava and Mia. It was time to tell them the news they had all been waiting for. Girls, Logan began looking at both of them with a deep sense of love. Claire and I have something to share with you. Ava's eyes brightened, and Mia's curiosity piqued. What is it, Dadwell? Logan said, smiling at Claire. We're going to have a baby. You're going to be big sisters. The room erupted in excited cheers. Ava jumped up, hugging Claire, while Mia clung to Logan, asking 100 questions all at once. It was a moment of pure joy, the kind Logan hadn't felt in years. As they settled down, Ava asked, What are we going to name the baby? Well, Claire said, glancing at Logan. We thought it might be nice if you helped us choose. Ava smiled, her eyes thoughtful. What if it's a girl? Can we name her Rachel? She asked softly, her voice filled with tenderness. Logan's heart swelled with emotion. He looked at Claire, who nodded, understanding the significance of the name. Yes, I think Rachel would love that. And if it was a boy, Mia piped up. How about David? She suggested, a smile lighting up her face. Logan smiled, his heart full. David it is. The family laughed, the sound of joy echoing through their home. They had found a way to honor the past, embrace the present, and step into the future together. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What do you think of Logan's decision to embrace Claire and move forward? Do you believe that love can be as powerful as memory? Or do you think the past will always haunt us? What would you do if you were in Logan's shoes? If you enjoyed this story, please comment 100 below and tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to share this video with your friends. Let's spread the love and inspire others to heal and find happiness, just like Logan and his family did.